So I'm in my mid 40s, which means most of the tech that I grew up with and used basically all the way to the end of the 90s was stuff like TVs, VCRs, stereos, even DVD players that never required software update because none of them had software. It was just, wires and circuit boards and stuff like that that just did their job out of the box as they were until they stopped working. And something that I always wondered about and it basically started, I mean, probably around the time, early 2000s, I would say, something I always wondered about and never really liked at all and still don't. As technology and stuff, it has advanced over the last 20 years, is this whole idea, which, I mean, you ask a teenager or a tween or something like that, or even someone in their 20s now, and it's just they think nothing of it. But to me, it's like the whole idea of having software that needs to be constantly updated on more and more and more devices. It's just something that I really think is stupid, and I've always thought is stupid. And it occurred to me, and I'm just like, I personally don't even update my tech, and and for the most part, it's fine. I'm able to use it for years and years and years, and the tech and stuff that I have, I don't update, and it works fine for me. And obviously, some stuff will not work on certain sites after a period of 5 to 7, 8, 9 years or whatever, and you got to get a new device. Plus, you want one by then anyway. But I was thinking, this thought always comes to my mind, like why this constant updating of technology, and not only that, phones and tablets and computers and stuff, but more and more and more tech. It has basically operating systems and things that need to be updated. I mean, people's fucking cars, from what I understand, need to be updated now, like their little HUD or navigation, this and that. And it's just like, holy shit. Probably refrigerators and washing machines and dishwashers and, who knows what. Toilets next, I don't know, need to be updated. And it occurred to me, why the fuck is tech so big in the last 20 years of all this technology that needs to be constantly updated? And it occurred to me, well, maybe having this 20 years of this era of tech that is constantly needs to be updated, it was like some kind of subtle, cultural programming for a lot of change that was going to swiftly be coming, after that 20 years and beyond and stuff. And it's arguably, we've gone through so much and continue to go through so much change within the last year and a half that, you know, possibly without this last 2 decades of this being, kind of just embedded into our psyche, this idea of our tech, and constantly updating, and the way we interface with our phone or tablet or computer just tweaked ever so slightly, and this icon's here, this one's there, it used to be there, now it's here because what? It didn't work there. It's kind of like on the Apple devices when, on an iPad or something in many years past, the time was up top center. And now to go along with the notch iPhones and stuff, even though the iPads don't have a notch, they're putting the time on the top left or whatever it is. Things like this, it's just like, okay, that change is so meaningful. And I've got iPods, from the early, late, like 2009, 2010, that I haven't updated, that I just use them for music players, but they work fine. And so it's like these updatings, more or less, I mean, I don't have a lot of tech experience, but it just kind of moves icons around, and it doesn't really, in my opinion, maybe in some cases, but for the most part doesn't really change the way these devices work. It just kind of makes superficial changes, but they are changes that are discernible to the mind. And it was just like, why the hell have we been doing this for the last 15 or 20 years? Why what's this constant updating that really seems to serve no purpose? And it just occurred to me today, well, maybe that's it. just 10 or 20, 10, 15, 20 years of just cultural programming for us to now be, more ready to accept this constant, because hasn't that what the past year and a half has been about? Like just almost daily, weekly, daily, constant changing in the news regarding a certain deadly something or other, big, huge, dark, deadly threat out there. It's just like monthly, weekly, even daily change where it's just like this is how it is. No, now this is how it is. No, we're back to this. No, we're back to this. And here's a new something new that's added. So it just occurred to me maybe that's a possibility. Maybe that was just to get us ready for this huge change that was going to happen and just continue to happen, and so then people would be less affected by the change because the technology that people use daily for like pretty much all of their waking part of their life, just daily, constantly, that stuff is constantly changing. All their little, the time goes from top center on your iPad over to the top left, and this kind of really, really meaningful changes stuff. All this kind of subtle changes maybe is a way to program people into just this constant state of psychotic change. Anyway, I'm kind of saying the same thing over and over, but it was just a thought that I wanted to throw out there, and I guess feel free to let me know what you guys think regarding that idea.